What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Planet Coaster 2 and my franchise with friends. We are here once again today in the beautiful Landsdowne Park. So I'm just kind of doing this video kind of off the cuff right now. A lot of the times when I make my videos, I have at least some sort of script or some bullet points or something to kind of go off of. This time, I've got none of that. So this is all on the fly and I'm just kind of making it up as I go here. Honestly, it's the way that I used to do it. My original plan for this week's video was to go back into Rebaville and build something in that park. However, I wasn't feeling Rebaville this past week. Instead, I was more invested in Landsdowne. Now, if you watched the last video, you know that we built the park's newest, oldest coaster, the Cannonball right here, or the Kansas Cannonball, which is, Cannonball is just kind of short for that. The full name of the coaster was actually Kansas Cannonball. And something I had done for this coaster that I hadn't done for any of the other coasters we built in the park was I actually built a station and a few other little things that kind of go along with it. But I don't know, I just wasn't happy with it. So instead of going into Rebaville, I came back into here to try to finalize what I really wanted this station to really look like in this whole area. You could say it pretty much had my entire attention. So today's video, we're back in here in Landsdowne, and because I not only did some work on this station, but I just kind of got distracted and I did some other stuff in the park. Now, nothing big, nothing major, there's no new roller coasters or anything, but there's a few things that I think are at least worth going over. All right, so let's zoom down here into Peep View, as I like to call it, and let's kind of run up through here. So, as you see, we have the Emporium right here, and then we've got Yankee Looper over there to the right. I've been doing a little bit of work as far as foliage and stuff goes in here. Just today, like literally right before I filmed this, I kind of came in here and I added some reeds and some like tall grass and bushes and stuff right around the little river right here. I don't know if this is going to stay or not. I'm probably just going to kind of keep perfecting it. Oh, that's such a good shot right there when I don't have a tree in the way. But yeah, I've just kind of been, I don't know, I just felt like I wanted to work on something before I started filming. And because I come in, the way I do things is I come into these parks, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to film this episode. And then I sit here and I just look at it. And I don't really feel like talking. I don't really feel like doing the filming. And I just kind of look for things to do, so to speak. And I end up distracting myself by doing other stuff instead of actually filming. So yeah, kind of did that today, honestly. But I finally decided, you know what, screw it. Let's record this. Let's get this over with. We need to get this video out. All right. So anyway, we're here on what I like to call the midway. We've got the arcade right over here, which I still need to kind of finish up and stuff. It's still just kind of sitting a little bit empty. Got some plans for that. We've got the Dodgems, which still fairly popular. Still got a long line. It's not stretched all the way out into the actual midway though itself. Debating on whether I want to get rid of this pillar right here in the middle. I feel like it's just kind of in the way. What I think I may end up doing is making two larger pillars and covering up these guys on the actual Dodgems and having that be that. Kind of that's what's holding up the rest of the building here. I think that would probably look a lot better. So that's something I'm going to kind of tweak in the future. Also, I'm going to rework this line a little bit. Seeing as this thing is so popular and there's so many people that want to ride it, more than I expected, I'm going to try to do that little trick that I used to kind of get rid of the footpath around it, like the actual pad, I guess is what you would call it, the ride pad. And I'm going to kind of cut into this a little bit. I'm going to see if I can't get the queue line to kind of wind around in here in, actually the way that I kind of have it fake doing. So instead, our queue line will kind of run down through here, get to right about there, come around, kind of come down through here, out, and then into the actual ride. So I do know that no matter what you do, you still have to have the queue here. But I think I can cut it out a little bit more. I meant to do that before I started filming. I didn't, but let's move on. So, Cannonball. Did a little bit of work on Cannonball, especially like the front entrance to the queue line right here. Having the lattice work, before I had it going all the way down to the ground, I don't know. I didn't care for that. We had the lattice, and then we had like the fencing and stuff was back in there, and you could see the fencing through that. I don't know. I just didn't like it. I felt it needed something a little bit more, so I put some wood pieces kind of right over top of that right there, kind of cover that. I think it looks a little better. I also flipped the flames upside down again. Can't really tell because I think either way I do it, it looks exactly the same. Something else I have also done is I have literally moved the station. I have made it longer than what it originally was, which also increased the length of the tunnel that you go into. And I've kind of moved it back a little bit as well. It's not too far off from where it was, but when I was trying to do something, which I'll show you here in just a minute, which I've done some teaser photos of, but I noticed that it was stretching all the way out here in the midway, and the little midway here was just too small coming down through here, and I wanted it to be a little larger, a little wider. So I got to thinking about it and I was like, you know what? I need to make some changes anyway. Let's close the ride down. Let's get some changes done. And I redid the entire station. Not the way it was designed. I just lengthened it, moved it where it was and everything. I took out the supports or the railings, as you can see here, on where it goes through into the brake run right there. Still need to work on this. I found that if I remove the track supports, it also gets rid of the railings, and I don't want to get rid of the... I want to keep the railings here, but I do want to get rid of the track supports. What I'm kind of thinking is maybe I can do something like this, and let's actually do that right now. Let me jump out of that. If I take and put a path down here underneath of this, it should actually, here, let me try this. So I don't know why it's not going all the way down the ground. I think that's it. Yeah, right there. All right, so if I do this, yes, so that gets rid of the track supports to a certain point, but not all the way up. So what if I was to do something like this? What if we lift the path up and we make the path the ceiling to this right here? Maybe that might work. If it's wide enough. Is it going to be wide enough? Might be. That actually just might work. Yeah, so if I kind of put that in there like that, let's move it forward so I can get it right over here to the edge. Like this. Okay, so that's going to be too high. But if I lower it to maybe right around there, and I click that. Okay. Well, that sort of worked, except for this. But I can fix that. We'll go in here. We'll do customization. We'll go customize extras. And if we turn off curves and the path foundation, and then I customize that like that. Yeah, that kind of works a little bit. I can raise it up from there, I think. So if I click that and then raise it up a little more to maybe right about there. Let's see how that looks. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that actually works. So I'm probably going to do this. I'll fix that. We'll put a little bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? We're going to put a little bit of a angled, some wood pieces in front of this. And we're just going to make that the roof of the little building here where it goes on the brake run. I think that will probably work out just fine. It looks like it is double-sided. Yeah, I can't see the curve itself, but I can see that there's the bottom, which is a concrete, and then there's a top, which is that like flagstone kind of path there. So that's fine. Nobody's going to see the top. The bottom is the biggest part. So what if we customize that kind of like this? What if we go in here and we choose wood? Oh, it definitely changes the wood on the top, but it still stays the concrete on the bottom. That's okay. That's fine. I will work around that. We'll cover it up. But anyway, Yeah, that totally fixed this part right here. Yeah, that looks a lot better, I think. Totally. Ooh. This, I'm going to have to lift up, but in order to... Because I don't want that going into the little station there. So I'll fix this. I didn't see that until just now, but I'll fix that. So I had to redo the entire queue line in order to make the station work and everything. And I changed this so that the queue line kind of comes in here. And it changes right about here, goes out, and then we have a slight set of steps going up right there. And then it changes angle over here. I raised the station up a little bit as well, so that the top of that is now a little more visible on top of the actual station itself. But the biggest thing that I've done with the entire station is I've fixed the front end. So, like I was saying before, it just felt empty, and I was kind of thinking, you know, what if I came in here and I added a shop, maybe a photo, like a ride photo booth or a shop, and then I was kind of thinking, what about some Midway games? Some Midway games would go great in here, and I really wish we actually had these in the games. I'm hoping Frontier will add these into a free update at some point, where we can get some like generic carnival games and stuff that our guests can play. To me, that's something that's really missing from the Planet Coaster franchise. That would be a great addition to the game. Ooh, it's raining. They just popped out. You know, I think that's the first time I've ever actually seen it start raining. Like actually noticed it start raining, and they just immediately pop out their umbrellas like that. Yeah, I've never noticed that before. Where was I? Going off on a tangent. Squirrel. But anyway, so I think we should get Midway games. It's something that you see in almost every single theme park, and I think the Midway games, having those in the game, are a lot better of an addition than, say, a security guard. You know what I mean? I mean, sure, security guards are something that you see in parks. It is something that is there. But it doesn't really add much to the game itself. It adds some. I'm not knocking the security guards that much. I don't use them. I'm probably going to start using them, but I don't use them right now. But however, Midway games is something that I would use in every single park, essentially. And I think a lot of you guys out there also agree with me that, you know, we would love to get Midway games. I've seen some people who are like, we don't need them. They don't care about Midway games. They want this or they want that. But I'm thinking, you know, Frontier, if you can go in and you can rearrange, and if you can do everything about all these people who are going on and on and on about how the flumes don't function right, I think Midway games is something we can get. I would love to see them. But again, I've kind of gone off on a tangent. But I really liked these two. So we have Derby Race by Joran. I got this off the workshop and just kind of fit it in here. One reason I really liked this one, I looked at a bunch of different Midway games. I was going to try to fit 3 in here, but I could only fit 2. But I really like this one because it's got, look, the little balloons. And it's perfect for our park because, you know, the mascot of the park is a giant balloon. And I think this kind of works, you know, it's the icon of the park, and now we have a little carnival game where you kind of race balloons across the skies. I think this really, really looks good. What I probably should maybe try to do is go in here and edit this around and maybe add some of the plushies and stuff in there. But, you know, I think it looks really, really good. I moved the bathrooms, so the bathrooms was like right here. I moved them back. So there's a little bit of a hallway that you have to go back into behind the Midway games. And then let's move over here to this other one. Now this one is the Bowler Roller by Kinetic. And you're going to see it looks a little different than what you would see on the actual workshop, because I took a lot of the front end of this off. I kept the sign and I kept the base of it for the most part. And then what I did was I put a little souvenir stand in here, one of the module ones, because what can happen is our guests, I wish they were doing it right now, but they don't seem too interested. I have seen them doing it though. It does work. You put the little like shelves in here, and then the guests will walk up and they will kind of browse the shelves, and it looks like they're like kind of interacting with the games themselves. And then they come over here and they get their prize, which is whatever they bought. That's essentially how this is working. I think it doesn't work as well as I was hoping it would, but I have actually seen them using it. I wish they used it more often. And I also wish there was a way I could make this one do the same thing over here. But the actual like ride attendant for this would be all the way back here. And I have no way to make that work for this one. But we're just going to say that, you know, it's not a busy day, or this is broken and it's just not running today, but this one is. So, and, you know, our little woman here who's working in here she's just fine, just kind of watching and make sure nobody's screwing around over here. But I think this was a great addition to the new station for Cannonball. I really, really like it. I think Cannonball Station looks so much better now. It fits in with the entire kind of midway that we're doing down here. Look at that. That looks great. It looks so good. I really love this. So Derby Race by Joran, Bowler Roller by Kinetic. Links for those, or the workshop codes will be in the video's description down below if you guys are interested in checking these out. If you do, make sure to give them a thumbs up, and, you know, check out some of the other stuff that Joran and Kinetic have. They've got some great stuff on the workshop. A lot of stuff I subscribe to, but I just ended up not using them right now. Doesn't mean I won't in the future, because, you know, they got some good stuff. I fixed the path a little bit more over here, kind of around it, and then we have, you know, kind of stretched over here. I was talking in the last episode about what I would do over in this area, and I was talking to Joe and I was talking to Raven about it, and Joe was kind of saying I should put just kind of an area over here where people can sit and stuff, and that's kind of what this is going to turn into. He was thinking I should take the bathrooms and put them over here, and I was like, I mean, I could do that. He was also thinking we should have some sort of little restaurant or something over here, or like a little walk up, like a food stand of some sort over here. And I would like to try to get that in there if I can. I don't know if I'm going to be able to or not, though. But another thing that I kind of wanted to get in on this midway, since we have the Dodgems and we've got a coaster here and a coaster here, I really wanted another flat. And I thought the Scrambler would be great. However, we don't have a Scrambler. We have its larger cousin, the Sizzler, Skizzer, whatever this thing is. So I have to work with this. It's way too big of a footprint. What is a foot? See, I told you, this is completely on the fly right now. I'm just going with the flow on this one. But it's too big of a footprint, and I would much rather have a much smaller, the actual Scrambler. So I hope at some point we do get the old Scrambler in the game. I know I'm not the only one asking for this. There's a lot of other people I've seen who have also asked for this. So hopefully at some point we do get that. But I gave it a little bit of a paint job that I think looks okay. It's not great. And I tried to do something on top of it here as well, with trying to give it some little lights. I can do better. I can definitely do better. I put this in before I knew what the DLC, the Sorcery Pack, was going to be. I had no clue what was going to be in that pack. I didn't know if maybe they were going to give us a Scrambler or maybe another flat ride that would go really good here. I had no clue as of the time. I knew the announcement was coming, but I was working on this before that. So, yeah, I just kind of was like, well, I'm just going to do a rough draft of a Scrambler and kind of put it in here. So I added these little resort lights, I think is what these are. Let me see. Oh, I can't see them without shutting down the ride. So we're not going to do that. I think it is the resort lights, though. Let me go in here to lights. I'll just find them down here. Where are you at? Where you at? Where you at? It's like these little neon looking poles. Oh, right there. Yeah, Resort Light Box 4. These are the ones I use, and I just kind of shrunk them down to about 50% and spun them around on the ride so they kind of go on there too. But I think I can definitely do something better with this. I would much rather have some sticks with the little bulbs and stuff on them. So I'm going to have to use these guys in order to make that work, and it's not going to be easy. This one might work. It's just not straight enough, though. I wish it was. I really wish we had the old fairy tale lights back from Planet Coaster 1, which I thought we were going to get when they added the fairy tale theme back into the game, but they weren't in it, and I was disappointed in that, and I don't know why. There's a lot of stuff missing from those themes that should be in it, but again, it is what it is. But yeah, we have our sizzler, whatever. I'm just gonna call it a scrambler, but this kind of fits in okay right here. And then later on, we're going to add in the antique cars over here, which Joe is still working on. And then let's see, so what else have I done? Oh, so since when I added the station onto Cannonball, it's like prestige and stuff went way up, and there were so many people riding it. So I thought, you know what? I think it's time. Let's go ahead and finish these stations for the other two coasters. So let's move over here to Yankee Looper. Now, one thing I want to say is I don't know if I particularly care about a perfectly circular plaza right here. I don't know. What do you guys think? I wish I could figure out something else to do here, but I just can't think of anything else that will kind of work for that. But anyway, you walk up here, and then you can see I have added a classic Pizza Hut style, very like 80s, 70s kind of style roof. So this coaster was built in late 80s, early 90s, I think. And this is very fitting with that style of architecture right about that time, I think. But we also gave it that classic kind of vintage lattice work that I've kind of done over here in this area. Even if we go all the way up here to the front of the park, you will see that I did this a lot up here. So it's kind of keeping with the theme of the park a little bit too. But let's kind of go back over here. I've got my settings aren't very fast for that. But yeah, okay, so back over here. And I think this kind of works. At first, when I first did this, I thought something was off about it. And I think what it was I had it too short. So I went in and I made the station slightly longer. And I think that kind of definitely helped to kind of give it a better profile. But I think this looks pretty good. I wanted to use the corrugated metal for the bottom of this, and I tried that, but unfortunately we don't have, is it 2 meter? I think it's the 2 meter pieces we don't have in the metal. Let me go in here and look. Corrugated, let me just type that in. Let's see, there's the, okay, so we had the 2 meter, we had the 4 meter, it's the 1 meter, which I was thinking of, but I was calling it the 2 meter. But anyway, we don't have a 1 meter corrugated slopes in the game. So I was like, all right, I can't make this work without that, because I really want that, the 4 meter or the 1 meter, specifically because of this over here. And it's the exit. Like, I didn't necessarily need it over here. Definitely needed it over here. I hated how it was looking, so I was like, let's find a new foundation to use for the station. And I went with this kind of, this stonework rock right here, which is the Viking stone walls, I think. And I think this works. It definitely shows that it's a permanent structure for the most part. It's well built. And they would have put a lot of time and money into the station and this whole coaster back when they built it. So, it was going to be the big coaster for the park at the time it was built, and they would have took some extra care with this one. And I thought a more solid foundation kind of works for this, and I think it fits in with the coaster itself pretty good too. I really like how this looks. And yeah, that's really all I kind of have to say about that. I just kind of went all the way around it with for the most part, copied and pasted the lattice from Cannonball Station over to this one. Did have to extend this part out a little bit though. It just wasn't looking right. And then we gave it the Pizza Hut roof, which at some point what I kind of want to do is come in here and I want to do a completely custom roof, and I want to make this out of art shapes and kind of make it look more like a metal roof than this would. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you prefer like a metal roof on this thing, or do you think it looks fine with this wood shingles kind of look? I think either way. I don't know. I don't hate it. So, you know, I just something I was kind of thinking about was just kind of using the art shapes like I did here. But all right, so that is Yankee Looper Station. That's Cannonball Station. Let's move over here to the Jayhawk, or Jayhawker Express. So this one is kind of a work in progress right here. Not 100% like finished with it yet. I'm waiting for the free update on the 16th where I can actually tilt stuff. With that, I'll be able to take these like roofs right here, the 4-meter, and I'll be able to tilt them any way I want, because the grid pieces are going to be on an axis now that we can turn. So I can make my own slopes as far as all this goes. And that's going to be really, really good. I can't wait for that. But again, it's a very, very unfinished station, but it's a station nonetheless. And you know, even in its unfinished state, it doesn't look too terrible. It almost kind of fits in with the idea here. You know, they spent about this time when the park built Jayhawk, you know, they spent a lot of money on the ride, maybe kind of skimped out on the station, perhaps. I'll probably do a little bit more work to it though, but let's wait until we get the new pack, the new DLC pack, Sorcery Pack, and then we'll get the free update, and then I'll come back here and kind of work on this one a little bit more. So not a whole lot kind of going on with Jayhawk Station just yet, but it will improve in a future episode. Something else I've done. Okay, so the swings, the chariot swing used to be over here, and I liked it here. I had no problem with it being here. It kind of worked. I really liked it. But here at the end of this midway, let me go down here in the peep view so we can kind of walk up through here. I felt this needed something at the end over here to kind of draw people in. Right at this corner, as the two paths kind of separate, it really needed something here. And I looked at a lot of different flat rides. At first, I was going to put the scissor right here, over here. That was where I first had it down. And I was just like, no, I just don't like that. I just don't. So then I was like, one of my favorite rides, I love to add these in pretty much all my parks, is the chariot swing. It's iconic, and I love watching these things when I go to actual parks. And I thought, you know what? This would be a really pretty ride to add right here. So as you're kind of coming up the midway and you're getting ready to decide where you want to go over to our shot towers, or if you want to head down here towards Jayhawk, you've got the chariot swings right there, which, I mean, we need a name for the chariot swings. You guys got any great names? Love to hear them in the comments down below. Still need a name for our shot towers too. Still working on that. But yeah, I think this looks really good here. I'm going to keep tweaking it. I basically just took the planters from our carousel right here, and I moved them over here, which, you know, the planters and stuff was something that I think I did the planters all the way around it, and then my friend Christmas came in and he added the flowers in here, which looks really good. I think he may have done the planters. I think he did the flowers and I did the planters. It's been a little bit, I can't remember, but I just kind of copied all of that, brought it over here, and put it around the swings. And I like that. I think that works pretty good. Now with it actually operating, you guys can kind of see here what I mean by, I just think it's a great scenic view coming up the path. I do have a tree in the way right there. I was going to put a tree here, and then I just was like, no, I really want that view from around here. And if I put a tree there, it would block that view, and would defeat the purpose of putting this ride there. So instead, this is going to become something, I don't know, maybe a planter, maybe, I don't know, maybe some chairs or something, like some benches down through here. Maybe both. Maybe planters that are actually benches with planters over top of it. So it looks like the people are sitting on the planters, but there's actually chairs underneath of it. In fact, that's probably what I'm going to do. But yeah, we totally moved the chariot swings over here, which freed up this space over here, and I still have no idea what we're going to do down this way just yet. But there is one more thing before I go on this video that I wanted to add, and that is, so I noticed a strange notification popping up anymore in the park. I kept getting this notification that our guests were bored and were asking for refunds. And I would check the guests, and it's like, oh, they're happy about this, they're happy about this, and then all of a sudden there's this message that's just like, I want a refund. I'm bored. Oh, well, you were just happy 10 seconds ago, but now you want a refund? Okay, Karen. But it was a strange notification. I'd never seen it before. And I was like, okay, well then, I guess there's just not enough for our guests to do, and they need another ride. So I gave them another ride. I put the Coriolis over here and just threw it down kind of quick, added the round queue in there like I like to do on a lot of my little flat rides right here. And it's just in here temporarily. And after I put it down, I was looking at it. I was like, you know what? What if I put a giant balloon, the Landsdowne Park balloon, the hot air balloon, on top of this and add it as part of the ride, so that it looks like, and I made these look like little baskets, right? So that it looks like you're spinning around in little baskets. I think that would look really, really good. So this is probably going to get moved. When I was putting this in, I was trying to decide between the Coriolis or, let me go in here, the flat rides, custom. I was also looking at, where you at? Where you at? I don't see it. Oh, there it is. I'm looking right over it. I also considered the Pathos as well. Maybe kind of like at an angle, kind of like right over in here. I considered this ride. This was where I was going to do first, and then I was like, no, I think I got a better idea. I'm going to go with the Coriolis. So now I'm kind of thinking, let's move the Coriolis to a different area. Let's go ahead. We'll throw the Pathos in down here, and I think that would be much better because we are going to be adding another new coaster to the park very soon, and I'm going to do a spinning coaster, not the Mac Extreme coaster, the Extreme Launched Spinner. We're not going to do that one. I think that one's just too much for this park. I want to do something more of a family type of coaster, and I think the regular Mac spinning coaster, something along the lines of, I think it's called Tornado at Paulton's, or Sierra Sidewinder at Knott's Berry Farm. That's a more popular one of that one. But I think something like that would look really good right at the front of the park right here. You can see it kind of as you're coming in, kind of right on the skyline right there. And I think that would go really, really good over here. And I'm going to theme it to tornadoes. I'm probably going to call it like Cyclone. The idea for the spinning coaster actually came from one of my friends, Dr. Awesome. And he suggested the spinning coaster. And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. And I've been kind of looking into doing it. The biggest problem with adding it right now is that if we go into research and we come all the way down here, it's actually one of the special coasters. Yeah, it's like the last one that you unlock here. Special Coasters 2 before you can get that one. I could make it with the Big M, which we already have. Which I think is just actually just unlocked in the game to begin with when you start. There is a Sierra Sidewinder that somebody has made, and I have actually looked at it. Let's grab that here. And so they made this one out of the Big M, the Extreme Launched, and you can kind of see how this could maybe go in here, right? And you can kind of see kind of what it would look like right there if I used the Sierra Sidewinder layout, which I could. This is a off-the-shelf model, and there's been, I think, 3 of these built that are clones. And I think, you know, so I could totally just throw this down. It's really, really well done. But I think I'm going to go with more of a custom layout. I haven't decided yet, so we'll figure it out probably before the next episode of this. But I do want to get your guys' thoughts about, you know, should we move the Coriolis to a different area, or should we keep it here and throw the Pathos in there? Either way, I want a coaster and I want a flat ride for this plaza right here. That's what I want. And if not either one of those 2 rides, what would you guys put here in its place? Now remember, we're theming the spinning coaster to a tornado because Kansas, you know, Tornado Alley. And I was just kind of thinking, you know, this kind of looks, this could be like a cloud seeder or something like that. You know, that's kind of what I was thinking with this. And then Pathos is, I really have no idea what the theme Pathos to, but it was just something I was kind of thinking, yeah, that kind of works. I could throw that in here. But if you guys got a better idea for a flat ride that would go in kind of along with the spinning coaster right here, love to hear thoughts and maybe how I should theme that. But all right, so I think that is all the changes I have done to the park so far. Mostly worked on a lot of stations work, hence the title of this video, Stations Everyone, because, you know, look, it's stations, everyone. But I really love how the finished product of Cannonball Station came out. I really like this. This is great. I think it looks great down through here. Redid this, the kind of the queue line right there where it kind of goes under the station a little bit. That's the one thing I'm not keen about, is I have a lot of stuff under the station, and I don't know if that's something that you would find in real life, but I don't know. I think the Big Dipper or the Giant Dipper at Santa Cruz, I think also does something like this. It's got a lot of little things in it, and having midway games underneath of a station or kind of jutting out from the station that's realistic. I've seen that before. A lot of boardwalks and stuff do that, so I think this totally kind of fits. Maybe not so much the bathrooms, maybe not even so much the exit line coming down through here, but I think it works. I like it. I think it definitely brings in the whole area together. I really like that. But that is it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this just kind of quick on the fly, me just kind of basically rambling on about what the new changes and stuff are in the park. This is what I've been working on over the last week and the weekend. And then, of course, you know, we had the DLC announcement, so I had to do a video on that. And then, as promised, here's your weekly Planet Coaster video. And today we're in Landsdowne. And next week we have the new DLC actually comes out. So I will probably do something different next week. But no fears. For those who are following me just for the Rebaville Park, I promise you it's coming. I've just got to do something for the new DLC, and then I'm going to be working on Rebaville. So, lots to do in that park, lots done in this one. We're getting there. I think once we get the spinning coaster and stuff in here, and then we kind of get this little area solved, that's the whole front of the park right there, that's an achievement right there. Speaking of achievements, guys, I just hit 12,000 subscribers. Like, as of the moment of recording this video just a little bit ago, I hit 12,000 subscribers. Now, you wouldn't know I had 12,000 subscribers from the amount of views that I get, which is like a lot less than that. I typically only get somewhere around 500 views on one of these videos. A lot less than I used to. Lot less. Whole lot less than I used to. Used to get so many so many people who would come and they'd watch the videos and they'd say, you know what? I love you. You're the greatest. Like, you're amazing. And I was like, I know. People tell me that all the time. But anyway, I'm having fun in this park, guys. I'm having fun with Planet Coaster 2 for the first time in a long time. All the updates and stuff that Frontier has done to the game over the last year, because we are coming up on the anniversary. We're getting the DLC right in next week, the DLC. And then after that, we have more stuff to look forward to, because I am 100% positive that we will get some sort of free update for the anniversary. It may not add much. It may just be one ride, maybe 2 rides, something like that. And probably some sort of returning ride, most likely. They're probably just going to give us something back that we had before. But it could be something new. I don't know. I don't have any insights into what Frontier is doing. I don't work there. I don't talk to any of the devs. I have no clue what's going on. Other creators know more than I do. Other creators get invited to their offices. Not me, though. But yeah. Totally not salty about that. No, I mean, honestly, Sylve, being there, Nerd Chacho, being able to go and visit their offices and talk with them. I love Sylve. I do. I love Sylve. Nerd Chacho's stuff is something I watch. I love his videos. Just kind of maybe salty about some of the others that got to go. But I hopefully will be able to get back into Frontier's good graces at some point. We'll see. I mean, yeah. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you love the video, if you love the park, give me a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed and this is one of the first you're seeing of this, then hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. We're at 12,000. Next goal, 13,000. From there, 14, and then 15. And the numbers, the numbers keep going up. That's what numbers do, or so I'm told. But anyway, I'm just having fun, guys. I love this game now. I'm very, very happy with it. It's got some flaws, but it's really coming into its own. I really like a lot of the stuff all the updates and stuff they've done to it has really brought this game back to being fun again, and my creativity's coming back, and I love building. I don't love making the videos as much as I used to, and the editing part sucks. I hate the editing of the videos anymore. I don't have as much fun doing that as I used to do, but I like showing off my stuff, and the way to do that is through my videos, and I want to create the videos. I just don't particularly like doing it. It's one of those things where I want to do it, I don't like doing it, but I want to do it. I want to show you guys everything that I'm doing and show off some of the tricks and stuff that I do. Gonna try to bring you guys some little tutorial videos and stuff here soon on some of the tricks and stuff I use, so look forward to that. And just a lot more Planet Coaster stuff. And yeah, so guys, hope you like the little quick video. I doubt at this point it's been quick. I'm sure I'm probably already at 30 minutes. I ramble on a lot, but thanks for watching. I'm gonna let you guys out of here. You can go do whatever it was you were doing before you started watching this video. Go back to searching for 2 girls 1 cup. You know what? I don't know. Just was in my Discord. I was looking over the stats for my newest video and like how people are finding it, and literally 0.7%, like 1 view came from a search for 2 girls 1 cup. How is my video even showing up on that search? I don't know. It's strange. Very, very strange. But yeah, so if that's what you guys are searching before you found my video and decided, you know what, I'm gonna watch this instead, this is probably better. It most likely is. Trust me, you don't want to be. I'd much rather you see one of my videos than be scarred for life by 2 girls 1 cup. But hey, I am out of here. Thanks guys for watching, very much appreciate it. I will see you in the next video. Until then, wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and I will see you in the next vid. Thanks.